You are listening to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all the latest news, Overwatch League results, and mishaps in Overwatch. Here are your hosts, Totemly Drunk and Edinar.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch. I am your host, Totemly Drunk, and tonight on episode 161, we'll be discussing the latest in Overwatch esports, see what's buzzing within the community, and let you know everything there is to know for the 3-year anniversary event that dropped yesterday, that being Tuesday. So before we can get into the news and introduce you to my co-host, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who is hanging out with us on Twitch tonight for our live show, and of course thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Edinar. And Ed, you know, we've had a lot of stuff going on lately. We had a mid-season Overwatch League panel this past Saturday. We guested on Push the Point with Ramses and Labasco, that being their, primary hosts, and then Blazing Bob was also with us. We did that Sunday, and, we had the event drop, we have workshop to look forward to, and we have another panel coming up on Sunday. There's a lot going on, even during the, quote, off-season, or, break, so to speak, but how has this past week been treating you?
So, I caved. I succumbed to the World of Warcraft succubus, and I resubbed to WoW this past week. So I've been playing a bunch of Overwatch because I want to get all the skins that I missed that we'll talk about soon, and this is the best batch of skins they've ever come out with for a new event, hands down. You can't argue with me. Don't come at me with that. But we've been getting those. I've been playing some Warcraft, getting caught up in all that. I'm getting sucked into watching Classic Warcraft, and getting real hyped for that.
Which, by the way, guys, stop reporting shit that isn't actually a bug.
Yeah. Just realize, alright, here's the thing. If I can put Classic WoW in a nutshell. Asmongold, who played for 13 hours a day for 4 days straight, 3 or 4 days straight, hit level 30 just at the end of it. That is how slow it's going to be. Just know that going in. But I'm getting real stoked for that because I was a Wrath baby, so I didn't deal with any of the Classic or BC nonsense. So I want to see that. I'm still getting used to having my mouse at non-5K DPI. It was brutal today, so I did the gun game. And I came in as McCree. And I'm like, oh god, my reaction time to snap when somebody comes around a corner just isn't there yet.
Right.
So it's just oh, yep, no, I'm dead. And, I'm dead again. God damn it.
Well, it's a good thing the workshop is live. You can do some aiming drills.
I have been, but there are a bunch out there, so yeah, I'm excited to see what the workshop brings because I feel we're going to talk about a different map or a different workshop probably weekly that comes out because we've talked about it a different mode every week since it came out on PTR.
Yeah, sometimes even multiple workshop modes as well.
So, we're going to talk about that a lot, but I've had a lot of fun this past week, kind of winding down from the Overwatch League, having time to take everything in, even from Hearthstone, all their PvE stuff that they have.
Yeah, the layer in Heist.
Awesome. It's been great. It's actual PvE in Hearthstone that has replayability. So, yeah, I'm having fun. And we guested we had the panel on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. Go download that. I swear I did not embarrass myself at all. Maybe a little. I don't know. There's a good chance I did. And then go download Push the Point that all 5 of us were on and, had some fun times there as well.
Yeah, it was basically OWL by the numbers featuring Labasco. we kind of
really
took over.
Yeah, it was Labasco's probably like, hey, these guys better not go on some fantasy rampage. And we didn't. We went on a 2-2-2 rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Much different.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was, of course, a follow-up to not only our 2-2-2 discussion on our last episode, which was 160, but also our 2-2-2 discussion on the panel, which, you know, we got pretty vocal about. So we'll see whether or not it's going to come anytime soon. Hopefully, that's going to be tied to that summer feature that Kaplan keeps talking about, that he keeps alluding to, but, like, we still don't have an ETA on that. But I would imagine it will probably drop, I'm hoping next month? Like, but who knows? There's nothing on the PTR right now, since they obviously just patched the workshop patch onto live on Tuesday. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this week's news. So first up, speaking of the workshop, I got a new game mode for you guys to play. Well, it's not like a new game. It's a new game mode. But basically, there's been someone that has been creating, like, classic arcade games in the workshop. So we had the user, Ocho Tanita, who had brought classic arcade games like Pawn and Snake into the Overwatch workshop, and now he's kind of, gone after card games, specifically Uno. Now, the way that this works in the Overwatch version is you have the players standing around a central circle, which is going to act as the table where, you know, the game is being played. And the circle is going to indicate, like, the number and the color of the card at the top of the discard pile, and it will have a beam showing which player currently has the active turn. So basically, like, when you're controlling your character, if you look at another player by aiming, it'll let you see how many cards they have left in their hand. And then if you are down to one card, your character is going to become engulfed in fire. So there's also, like, a couple of other things. I know when you are skipped, you know, with the skip card, your character is frozen, so that indicates that. And this mode can be played on a variety of different maps out there, and it can support up to 12 different players. Now, if you want to play Overwatch Uno, you can do so by using the import share code of WMVZC. And I have to say, like, we keep seeing more elaborate types of setups in the workshop. And, like, even the Flappy Bird one that we talked about this last week already got a multiplayer update, so you can play, I believe it was, like, up to 4 players on that one now. So I like to see, like, how much follow-through we're actually seeing, how many updates are getting patched fairly quickly with even the workshop creations, just not counting just the game itself. So it's really unique to see what people are coming up with, and we'll see what arcade game he's going to tackle next time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would like to see them updated, but they need to implement something or have a way of showing how many people have played, like, your created game mode. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if you only, like, 10 people have played your game mode, scrap it. It's not that good. But, like, you just don't know anything like that. Like, maybe Blizzard could come up with, like, you know, release a list of the top 50, you know, game modes that were out there. Like, this seems like a fun game to play. Like, you know, I've seen a couple of super fun games this week. I saw this. Somebody put an 18-hole golf course onto Eichenwald. And, like, you have to jump as Torbjorn into, like, the basket, really, or into the hole. So that was actually super cool. But, like, these are the kind of things where, like, if people keep playing it, there's no way for them to know if people keep playing it except through Twitch. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see them show a way of which ones are becoming most popular, outside of, like, Reddit telling them they're popular, because we all know my feelings on Reddit. But this is awesome. This seems super fun. You know, I don't know how, like, this is the type of game where, like, I'd play it once and I'm good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, it's cool that it's in there, but, like, could I play it for 2 hours? No. I'd go insane.
I mean, that really would depend on how many players you have. It could last 2 hours, for all you know.
True. Uno is like Monopoly. It's either going to be over real quick or it's going to be a while.
At least in this case, no one can flip the table.
Yet.
It's gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
At some point.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so outside of that, we also have Overwatch being free to play this week, which does tie into the anniversary event. So, even for the free to play players, when you log in, you'll get the legendary loot box when you first log into the game. Same with any player logging in this week, so you have a guaranteed legendary item in that loot box, so be sure to log in. And, you know, just like with every other free trial, any sort of cosmetics you earn during the trial will transfer over to your account should you choose to purchase Overwatch at a later date. So the current trial is running until May 28th. And, you know, Ed, like, what's different about this one is, since, like, the prior trials we've had, Overwatch has actually dropped down in price pretty significantly. Like, Overwatch right now is retailing for $19.99, and then when you kind of look back at the sales, like, after the free weekends and things like that, we typically see Overwatch go into half off. Do you feel like that's still going to happen, or is $20 going to be the low point at this rate?
I think $20 is going to be the low point at this rate. Maybe once it, like, for a Christmas special or something like that, it may drop to half price, but not every time we have a free weekend. Especially since it's only $19.99. If you really want your 5th, 6th, or 7th account, you'll pay the $19.99 for that. You're not going to flip out that it's not $9.99. You know, so yeah, it's gonna stay that way unless they have some special event. But they seem to be having these every like 2-3 months, where they have a free weekend, and it's around like special events in games, stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna stay at $19.99. I'm fairly certain of that.
Yeah, the only time we saw it drop below that was when Overwatch was included in the Humble Bundle or the monthly.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't do that. I feel I should, but no. I don't have enough time for the games I have now.
Yeah, then you have a backlog of other games that you probably never going to touch, or, you know, you could gift away. One of the two. Chances are you just wouldn't touch them at all.
Probably.
So moving on, we do have some merchandise news. We have a new Figma figure coming out from the Good Smile Company, and this one is none other than McCree. So the Figma figure is available to pre-order over on the Blizzard Gear store, and, you know, like most of the Figma figures out there, they stand just over 6 inches tall. You know, you can pose McCree, he's flexible, it includes his Peacekeeper, it has his gun holster, his flashbang grenade, of course he has his cigar, because you can't have McCree without that. It does include 2 different faceplates, both a standard one and one with McCree smirking. And the gun can be holstered, and I know his cape can also be removed. Now the problem, Ed, the price point. You know, the Figma price point is significant. The McCree one is retailing for $89.99, which does not include the cost of shipping, which would run you about $9 in the United States. So, yeah, that's pretty big. For that much money, I'd rather just spend the extra, like, $50 and get one of the statues at this point. But the release date for the McCree Figma is set for February of 2020, and McCree is the 9th one to join the Figma collection for Overwatch.
I feel like we're just repeating ourselves at this point, where, hey, it's expensive. You have to wait 10 to 12 months to get it. You'll probably forget that you ordered it. Then it will arrive. Not that worth it, and me and you both have zero interest in it.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, a lot of the, like, partnerships that they have for merchandise is more collector's items at this point. Because, like, even the Nendoroids, which are on the cheaper side compared to, you know, some of the other, you know, like, figures, so to speak. Like, even those are ones that, like, it's very dependent on what character is coming out that I would consider actually going out and buying it. For the most part, the thing does look really great, but for that price point, I'd rather have something that's going to display better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's for let's just essentially just call it $100, $89.99 plus $9, $100. We'll just go with that. It like you said, I'd rather spend the extra $50 and get one of those really nice statues from Blizzard, like, rather than something like this. It does look pretty cool, but it's something that's just going to sit on the shelf. And, that over one of the awesome statues, whether it's Reaper, Tracer. Like, the Tracer statue, I think, is cooler looking, and it's $50 more. I would rather do that, whereas, some of the smaller items, I would even prefer doing, for that $100, you could get, like, the majority of the Overwatch Lego sets.
Mm-hmm.
Get the Overwatch Legos, put those together and display those. I would almost prefer to do that over buying one of these. And it's nothing against the people who buy these. It's just, I don't know. I just don't see it. Like, it's cool looking, yes. Like collector items, a lot of collector items you want to keep in the box. This is not something you're going to keep in the box. This is going to be out of the box, collecting dust, getting broken, getting worn, stuff like that. So I don't know. Like, they're cool, they're just not for me. I don't see the appeal to them.
So basically, we are patiently waiting for Hasbro for the action figures at this point. Because that's going to be the price point that you're probably going to sell the most units by and large, and it's going to be easier to mass produce them at that price point as well. Speaking of which, like, I actually did pick up some Blizzard merchandise this past week, not for myself, but for a birthday gift for my niece. I did pick up one of the Nerf rivals. I bought her the D.Va one. And I was looking at that, I was surprised at how big the bunny blaster is for, like, a kid's toy.
How much are those blasters?
You know what? I honestly don't know. I literally just bought it.
Like,
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, like, those are something. If I had, like, nieces or nephews around to play that with, like, I have nieces and nephews, but they're all way too young, like 4 and under. I can't play Nerf guns with them. Okay,
so there's two. So, like, the rival one, which is the bigger one that I got, that one is $29.84 on Amazon. They also have, like, the smaller one, like the Micro Shot one. Those ones are only like $10.
Oh, that's super reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I just need somebody to have a Nerf war with up here. BlizzCon.
Everyone bring your Micro Shots.
Although, everyone don't bring your fake plastic toy guns on the plane. I'm pretty sure you'd get in trouble. Going out on a limb.
Probably. But anyways, moving on, we got a couple of Academy teams that have sort of, like, bit the dust for a hot community topic. So first up, let's talk about Mayhem Academy, who have decided to bow out of this upcoming season of Overwatch Contenders. This, of course, being in the North America region. So a lot of this was just due to that recent trade that was between the Florida Mayhem and the Los Angeles Valiant, which, of course, saw Fate going over to the Mayhem in exchange for McGravy, Shax, and Fact Fiction, the later two, of course, being from the Academy team. Now, looking at this, all of the remaining players that were on this roster are now free agents, so that includes Manitin, who, of course, was on the Florida Mayhem this past season. You have Mingachu, who's been, kind of like at a standstill in Tier 2 and hasn't really gotten too many looks for Overwatch League, and there's a lot of debate about that. Honestly, probably his best shot at getting signed. If it doesn't happen now, I don't think it ever will. You have Wub, Paintbrush, and Epps rounding out that former roster. Now, not too long ago, we also talked about Energy Esports, who pulled a similar move, basically disbanding their roster. So this is a second Academy team to leave the competition. So we have 2 open slots, basically, in Contenders, and chances are that's going to go to Contenders Trials teams, and we'll see what comes from that. But, it's kind of a shame, because Mayhem Academy, after widely being a joke in the season 3 of 20, last year, basically, they actually came out to look like a pretty strong team this year, so it's definitely a step back for them, but it's going to give them time to refocus and be able to retool their roster, and we'll see where they go from here. But they have all intention of being back and playing in probably season 3 of this year, or I think that would technically be in the fall, or maybe it's next year. I don't know. They're coming back for season 3.
Yeah. Once they did it, I wasn't shocked. Yes, they traded away 2 of their starters. They are an all-Korean team now in the actual Overwatch League, and they made it very clear that they're going to be an all-Korean team. So they had 0 Korean players on their Academy team, so it makes sense for them to get an all-Korean Contenders team, and they probably just don't have the time to rebuild 2 rosters at once. So they're rebuilding the Mayhem's main roster right now, and they probably just take this stage off of season off of Contenders, come back season 3 with an all Korean Contenders team, and just go from there. That's the most likely scenario. I think everyone's kind of assuming they do. It sucks because they had kind of turned it around. Like you said, Mangachu has been that journeyman, Contenders player that always gets talked about getting called up, but never actually does. Maniton's another one. That Maniton actually was not a bad, off tank for the Florida Mayhem. He was a bright spot on a shit team in season 1 for the Mayhem. If they were gonna keep one player from season 1, I thought it would have been Maniton over Tavit, but that's besides it. Paintbrush, not a huge fan. And Wub, has a chance. He'll probably catch on with another Contenders team. I don't believe he's OWL worthy at this point, but it'll be interesting to see where they go from this. It's probably saves them a bit of money, saves them a bit of a headache, all that fun stuff. But we need to point out, this is definitely different than it's similar, but within what NRG did, because NRG just is we're just not even running Contenders anymore. Mayhem's just hey, we're gonna. It's basically the person after high school who takes a year off to travel Europe before going to college.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking the season off to view everything, review players that they could bring in before they can bring in a team of Koreans.
Yeah, so, bringing it back to I think it was their GM, Ben, is yeah, we're not fielding a Korean team. Now they're going to field 2, probably.
Yeah, that tweet aged well. It really did. We will not be doing an all-Korean team. 2 months later, we are getting an all-Korean team. Awkward.
But yeah, it was just one of those rare instances where the Academy team was performing better than their Overwatch League counterpart.
Well, I hate to say it, but we had 2 Contenders teams this year outperforming the actual Overwatch League teams. I'm going with Mayhem Academy and Fusion University.
To be fair, though, wasn't that always the case for Fusion Uni?
Well, last season you can make the claim because Fusion did make the championship for season 1. It's hard to, say they underperformed last year when they did make, the season finals.
True. But that was still a different level
They're
of
still-
street
they're-
though involved.
Well, yeah, they're still overrated as all get out, but that's just my humble opinions.
Mhm.
Because we all know Ednar is humble. No, can I not pull that off?
No, you're not.
I also love in this article that they referred to Mangachu as former XL2 DPS as he's getting kicked off another contender's team.
Mm-hmm.
Do they really need to throw that in there, that he's been kicked off 2 contenders teams?
They do, just so they could throw shade at Flower underperforming on XL2. I think it's more for that than anything.
Yeah, Mangachu did start over Flower. Well, started with Flower, and then Nene replaced Flower.
Mm-hmm.
My memory serves me, but yeah, hopefully these guys. I mean, we're probably going to start hearing a bunch of stuff this week and next week.
Right.
In regards to movement, now that the All-Star game has passed and all that fun bejazzle,
And-
people are on vacation right now.
Mhm.
So we're going to start hearing some stuff.
Or, for some teams, you're just not going to hear anything because, there's not much going on, or there's too much going on with the parent company.
Right?
But
or
anyways,
you're the Shocker, the Titans, and
Yeah.
you're just like,
we're good.
we're already the best. We're good.
Yeah,
We're going to continue to be the best for stage 3 and 4, it looks like.
That's why they don't need energy. They're just like, yeah, we're too good. We don't need to groom talent.
No, they don't.
But
Really, they don't,
yeah.
actually. But
But anyways, following in Energy and Mayhem Academy's footsteps, you have Eternal Academy, of course the Academy team for Paris Eternal, who have decided to part ways with their roster as well. So after going 2-5 in Contenders, this team was relegated to Contenders Europe Trials alongside Young and Beautiful, and the team lost their spot and basically got relegated to Open Division. Yikes. So I have to say, just based on that, I was absolutely not surprised that they would do this. But, you have their players becoming free agents as well, so that includes Asoft, Zeal, Zhao, Superpluke, Hardest, Exorath, and I know Trispear, I think, left a week prior, so it wasn't part of that clump of releases, but he was also a free agent as well. So, it seems to be an interesting case with the EU affiliate teams. Hurricane have been so up and down, then you have Eternal Academy coming in and just kind of not doing a whole lot, unfortunately. So, looking at this lot, I don't even know who would be Overwatch League ready at this point. I know Hardest has been around a long time. I do like Zhao because he was part of CIS Hope / Windstrike team whenever they rebranded or got bought out by whoever. So those would probably be the two likeliest. But, outside of this, this is something that doesn't happen that often. At least in the Hurricanes case, they were able to kind of, bring it back. And now Eternal Academy aren't going to get that opportunity.
I mean, I don't blame Eternal Academy. Be like, we're the first contender, affiliated team to get relegated to trials and not just disband the entire.
Hurricane went to trials. It just wasn't to Open Division.
But all right, to Open Division. Sorry, they went to trials, but they got back in. This is the first team to go to Open Division and not re-qualify for contenders. Because I'm pretty sure they lost to that. I forget their names. The team of One Tricks that made it.
The Clockwork Vendetta?
Yeah, Clockwork. And they're complete One Tricks. They don't switch to anything else, and it's great. And they lost to them. So I do not blame Eternal Academy for just getting rid of everyone. I don't see any of them getting picked up in the Overwatch League, personally. Because they couldn't beat anyone in Contenders. Why? They couldn't beat anyone really in to get back in. They're like, okay, well, you know what? You're going to be playing with the same teams as Joe Schmo and his brother, who work a 9 to 5 and can sometimes make their matches to play. Yeah, they're just not As if I was like a team GM or coach or something like that, I definitely wouldn't look too closely at them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you said, none of them stick out as like, okay, they're going to be good. Could they sign on with contenders teams? Yeah, they easily could. They probably have more than enough skill to do that, but they just don't have enough skill together to do that. So, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them.
So let's go ahead and shift gears and talk about what's been going on within the Overwatch League. So, of course, as everyone knows, we're kind of at that mid-season break point. We just had the Overwatch League All-Star Game, which basically started right as we ended the podcast this past week. So, of course, that included the Talent Takedown. We had the Widowmaker 1v1 tournament. We also had the arcade modes. And, of course, the All-Star Game to wrap everything up. So, you know, taking a look back, obviously one of the big discussion points, for better or worse, was Bren. Because Bren basically kind of took over and just absolutely crushed the Talent Takedown. Without Reinforce being there, he was just going on the offense. Played a lot of Widowmaker, and poor Achilleos, you know, he tried, could not do anything against Bren, time and time again. And it just got to the point where, you know, Bren was just clicking heads left and right. So, you know, his head kind of expanded a little bit, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to challenge anyone in the Overwatch League. And sure enough, that did happen. We had Gesture from the London Spitfire answer the call, and that 1v1 happened in halftime during the All-Star Game itself. Now, I have to say, Ed, I gave Bren zero chance even getting a kill in this. I thought for sure Gesture was just going to come in and just dismantle him, make an example out of Bren, and sure enough, Bren walks away with not one, but 2 kills, and we're just in this mindset now that there is no possible scenario where Bren isn't going to bring that up every opportunity he gets, whether it's from Gesture dying or a Widowmaker not landing the shot, things like that. This is going to be a recurring thing. Honestly, if not for just this year, future seasons to come.
Well, all right, it's going to happen for this season for sure. I gave him a chance of getting 1 or 2 kills just for the simple fact of Gesture could hit a body shot and Bren could come back with a headshot. Like, Gesture just misses by like a half an inch, and, instead of killing him, Bren gets a shot off.
Well, it's headshots only.
Oh, it is headshots only. Well, never mind then. Well, he could still get body shots. It just doesn't do any damage. But, basically that's what happened with Bren, is he got Gesture shot first, didn't get the head, Bren did get the head. Every other time, Gesture clicked his head and would just dominate. So I thought he'd get 1 or 2 maps, but we're going to hear about it the rest of this stage, and I guarantee you we will see another Bren versus another Overwatch League player next All-Star game. It's gonna happen. As long as Bren is in the league, there will be a Bren versus an Overwatch League player in a Widow 1v1. And it will always be like a tank or a main support player that he goes up against. Like him versus Custa, I could see happening. Something like that. So, I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was great. The whole All-Star game was actually much better this year than it was last year. I think starting off with the Talent Takedown, it was less drawn out for starters. And to start off with the Talent Takedown, which pitted, realistic play versus realistic play. That's what people like us like to see. We like to see realistic players that screw up like we screw up. They go for stupid charges on Reinhardt. They hit their ults just to hit their ult for ult's sake. Seeing that is fun. And the trash talk. Puckett and Bren on the same team has to happen at all times. Like Puckett on his Doomfist and Bren on the Brittlemaker, like was something that was amazing. And to see them trash talk was great. So I loved it. That was the best. The highlight of the All-Star Weekend was the talent takedown to me. So
It was definitely one of the high moments, as well as seeing some of the Overwatch League players cast in as well, because you had Super at times. He was casting some of the games, and he had some really dry takes, which I thought were absolutely hilarious. And of course, you also had Dogman serving as a hype man as well. So I love to see things like that. So we also got to see the Widowmaker 1v1 tournament, which had some pretty big surprises. You had Nene, who was basically run-shotting through fellow NYXL players, only to fall to DM when all was said and done. So, Shanghai picking up another win. So we had a new champion. We did not get the Carpe DM match like a lot of people wanted, because Carpe continues to find a way to drop the ball in the Widow 1v1 tournament. But
just like his team.
Basically. But I love to see, like, throughout that, like, how some of the players were, like, sitting behind them, like, during the 1v1s, and then there would be times when no one was, no one was next to Pine when he was going up against Jonak. Everyone was cheering on Jonak, and anytime Jonak would, hit a shot, he'd be just so elated. It was one of the greatest things about it. But man, Nene, like, a lot of people forget, like, he plays a pretty mean Widowmaker, and he was playing it a lot on XL2 Academy, and just because, like, a lot of people talk about, Pine and Libero and Flower, they kind of forget about Nene's prowess on some of these other heroes that we don't get to see, and despite how close some of those series were, he still came out on top, which I was really happy to see. So it made for some pretty interesting bracket matches, as opposed to what a lot of people would have expected in this one.
Yeah, no, they're making slight changes that make this whole thing better. Now, I love the fact that they allow people to stand behind them and cheer them on, because you could see them throughout the whole thing. Space was another one that was freaking out all the time during this, and it was great. So I love that. I honestly wish that they would change up the map during the matchup, and we don't get the same map every time, because we have a bunch of maps that are, dual maps, and I would like them to change it up. I think that'd be pretty cool. Also, as cheeky and fun as it is to have flex supports in there, get them out of there. I'm sorry. I'm one of the few. I hated the fact that Violet, Jonak, who else was in there? Shu were in there. Like, and then actual legit Widowmaker players like Saya Player, who was in the All-Star game, didn't get invited, and he's arguably one of the top 5 Widowmakers in the league. So bring in actual Widowmaker players. Don't bring in flex supports to face off against actual Widowmaker players. Like, it just doesn't make it that intriguing. And it was proven this time. It's like, oh my god, Jonak got 1 kill.
Yeah, Violet didn't get any.
Yeah, like, it just basically means, okay, so they're out in the first round. So what? Like, I want intrigue. I want Saya Player versus Carpe in the first round. Like, I want that kind of stuff. And they could have done stuff like that, but they chose to bring in flex supports.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that it is a coach decision on who is going to represent both of the all-star teams, which is part of the problem. I agree with you. I'd prefer to see primarily Widowmaker players. I mean, if you have other hitscan players, that's fine too. But yeah, there were a lot of players out there that just weren't in consideration to be fielded in that event. But I will say, I felt like last year for the Widowmaker 1v1, pretty much all of the matches felt really drawn out, and the pacing of this one just felt so much better that we're quickly getting back into it. So I'm pretty happy with where the Widowmaker 1v1 aspect is on that regard. So outside of that, we also had the arcade modes, which were just okay.
Yeah, nothing too crazy special.
I feel like they are going to phase the arcade modes out in favor of doing workshop modes. Whether it's just doing, Twitter polls based on, stuff that's over on, wherever, basically, whatever popular workshop modes are out there. But the workshop mode is going to offer so much more than just the arcade modes that they come up with. So, we had the 3 Genji, 3 Hanzo, which, honestly, it was a mess.
It was horrible.
You had players who I was, guaranteed I thought were going to play, Genji, and then end up being on Hanzo, and then I'm just, shrugging, what the hell is going on with these teams? And then you had, the All McCree one, which honestly was probably the best one out of the lot, because everyone would just hit Q at the same time, and it was just a crapshoot for, a 20-second window.
Who gets it off first with the most kills?
Basically. Or you would just use it to, zone people away from the cart, because they were on Route 66 on this one. And then, of course, we had the 6 support one, which they actually used the wrong name for, but you know what? I'm okay if they want to use Heroes Never Die on the broadcast, by all means, because I'm good with it. It was supposed to be Healers Never Die, but you know what? Heroes Never Die is that much better.
10 times better, yeah.
So much better. And, we have no biasness whatsoever on this podcast.
I've never been known to be biased versus anything in my entire life, and that is a scientific fact. No, it's not. But the arcade was fun. Like you said, let's hope next year they implement more workshop ideas, some more fan-created workshops type of things, because people enjoy it. It keeps the community engaged with all of this, and why not keep doing it?
Yeah, and it's going to promote... It's going to promote the game, too, one of the key features as well.
Exactly. So this is something I think they really need to embrace, and this would be a perfect way to embrace it. There's no bigger way to, for them to embrace it than put it into the Overwatch League All-Star game. The All-Star game's a joke anyway. All All-Star games are jokes anyways. It's a fun environment, happy-go-lucky times. Mm-hmm. And, I really hope they also advertise who made it. So you get those people trying to create maps that are super fun, so they get the recognition from the Overwatch League. This is created by such and such, and blah, 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 blah. Here's the code, and so on and so forth. So, it's a lot of fun. I could see stuff like Tour Pure and Mini Golf next year being the case, or something just wacky and fun like that.
I just want to see Gun Game. That's all I want. Put Gun Game.
Gun Game's fun. I suck at it, but it's still fun. Mm-hmm. It's way better than Lucio Ball. That game mode sucks. I hate that thing so much.
Well, luckily it's only going to pop up a few times, Ed, so...
Yeah, thank God. That was horrible. Yeah, me and Totem tried to play it, and here's Totem's exact words to me. Don't worry, I'll carry you. We lost 5-1.
We did. That's what happens when we can't capitalize on our ults. Feels bad, man. But anyways, we also had the All-Star game. Which, by the way, everyone's like, screw this, we're not going to play what we run in the Overwatch League. There was no 3-3 to be found. It was all 2-2-2. Maybe the pros are trying to hit at something. Maybe not. Love to see it, though. 2-2-2. We had a pretty big discussion on that this last week and also on the panel. But... with the All-Star game, of course you had those, cheeky moments where, you get a little bit of the tactical crouching. You had the Atlantic Division basically send out all of New York Excelsior and basically them plus Profit one game, which is the one game that the Atlantic lost, which I was so elated to see because like I just love seeing New York Excelsior on stage, regardless of what the narrative is, what the situation is. They find a way to lose. Like I for sure thought, okay, they should have this one in the bag, right? Honestly, that's how I kind of felt about the Pacific team, and then they just kind of shat the bed. But so did XL, so you know what? It fit the narrative. It was very befitting of New York, and I continue to see. I think that's going to continue to happen time and time again. But it's just funny, like, it doesn't matter what the stakes are, they still lose.
Oh yeah, no, that was. And what was funny is they came out. Wait, there's 6 NYXL players on the All-Star team. Who's the sad sap that has to sit out? It was Pine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and play NYXL, except for you, Pine. We're gonna sub you out for someone else, so you don't get to play with your teammates this week. So yeah, I found that funny, but yeah, it was hilarious that they were the only ones to actually lose. I thought too the Pacific was gonna dominate this, and we were way off.
Yeah, well, it's the All-Star game. You gotta flip the script. So we'll know better next year. Just pick whoever the less stacked team is, and they're surefire going to win.
Be like, this team's gonna win. They have so much talent. Be like, but let's pick the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Makes more sense that way.
It does.
Mm-hmm. But it was fun, and it only lasted 2 days this time, and it was well done. Like, way better than last year. I like having it in between stage 2 and 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that nice little break, but not too long of a break. So I'm looking forward to it.
Luckily, we have a couple of things to distract us in the meantime from the Overwatch League during this break, which we'll get into here in just a little bit. So outside of that, we also had some pretty big news out of Time Magazine, of all places. Like, this was completely out of the blue, but Time Magazine released their next generation leaders list, and on that leader list was the Frog Queen herself, Shanghai Dragons Offtake? I mean, she's not currently playing, but Geguri was on the next gen leaders list, which is really cool. So she earned the nod due to the honor of persevering in esports and becoming the only female player in the Overwatch League. Now, of course, with this article, we kind of got a detailed, journey with Geguri in her Overwatch esports career, which began back in smaller tournaments back in 2016. Shortly after the beta test began for Overwatch, and of course it went into the accusations that were sent her way, because some of the guy players thought that she was using aim hacks. They bet their pro careers that she was hacking. They basically made her stream in a very controlled environment with a hand cam and everything. And of course Geguri just shows up and proves everyone wrong, and that was really one of the main driving points in some of the much larger discussions in esports and representation as a whole. But this is a very big deal because looking back, yeah, sure, we're on ABC, we are on the Disney networks, we've been on ESPN, but outside of that, I can't really think of a bigger reach than Time Magazine, just because of how much a following that has. And you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be looking at Time Magazine that have no idea what esports even is. And they're just going to see this, and it's going to bring new eyes, not just to the Overwatch League, but esports as a whole. So, kind of something that happened out of the blue, but I was really happy to see it. And I couldn't think of a better fit to be really the first Overwatch League player to be, in such a major magazine article than Geguri.
Yeah, no, it was actually pretty cool. When you think about it, it probably makes the most sense because she is, South Korea esports in general is dominated by males. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. And South Korea, one of the biggest things in South Korea is esports. It's one of their major sports down there, and to have a female in the professional Overwatch League, which is probably one of the top 3 to 4 esports leagues in the world, with like alongside League of Legends, Call of Duty, um, and Dota, and then probably Overwatch. Like those are probably the top 4. To have a South Korean female in that organization is just massive. So it makes total sense for her to do it, to be picked that way, and to be in Times. It's one thing I've learned about magazines of that nature. They love doing lists, like top this or top this. So it makes sense that sooner or later we would have somebody in esports on one of these type of lists. I'm just happy it wasn't Ninja, personally, but like it's a great privilege. It really is. Like that's one of those things that Kaguri can be like, listen, I was named this by Time Magazine. And in South Korea, it may not make that big of a deal because I probably don't think Time Magazine's big in South Korea. But like in the United States, Time Magazine's a big deal. So like to have that on your resume things is just massive. So, good on her, good on the Overwatch League, but more good on her and making that much of an impact.
Absolutely, and, thinking of things that have been doing fairly well as of late, we got to take a look at the viewership numbers for the Overwatch League. Now, kind of going into this season, there was a lot of doom and gloom about the direction of Overwatch and the state of the meta, that, of course, being 3-3 compositions, and, you had a lot of people moaning, like, oh, I'm not gonna watch, because it's only gonna be GOATs all the time. But we got some good news. So according to the Nielsen ratings, Stage 2 ended with a new viewership record for the 2019 season. So the Stage 2 playoffs week had a global average minute audience of 545,000, with the final match, which of course was between the Shock and the Vancouver Titans, that of course was broadcasted on ABC, that set the record for the best performing esports broadcast across the ABC, ESPN, and Disney linear channels. So, kind of comparing that to what we saw opening week this year, the AMA was 444,000. So, pretty big jump. That's 101,000. Pretty significant there. But we've yet to see Season 2, of course, hit that Grand Finals peak, or AMA, which was 861,000. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. One primarily being, it's not the same stakes, but I really hope to see us crush that one as well at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm assuming we will. I had no doubt that Stage 2 would crush Stage 1, personally, because if you remember, Stage 1 happened during March Madness, and that definitely hinders like people watching it. So like this is a more accurate representation of the viewership that we will probably see going forward, because obviously people are going to watch March Madness over esports on ABC. Like it's just a matter of fact. So I think stage 2, stage 3 will probably be right around this. I think stage 4 will eclipse stage 1. Grand Finals, because we don't have stage 4 playoffs. Will surpass season 1 Grand Finals.
We have the play-in tournament for the final 2 playoffs. Right.
But we don't have like a stage 4 and then the Grand Finals. So I think season 2 Grand Finals and all that will severely pass over season 1. Like we'll hit over 1 million in season 2 for the Grand Finals. I have no doubt in my mind that will happen. Mainly because we have so much more advertising backing and money getting thrown into this, and more teams in China, just all around, just more visually out there. So easily we'll get over 1 million for season 2 Grand Finals.
So we also have some roster updates, this one out of the camp of Toronto Defiant. So we have two players being moved up from their academy team, that of course being the Montreal Rebellion, and they have moved up their tank duo of Gods and Sharik. So they'll be joining the Toronto Defiant on the main roster. Now, taking a look back, Gods has been one of the OGs of competitive Overwatch. Back in 2016, he had competed with Luminosity Gaming. At one point, he was with Energy Esports. He was even on the United States World Cup team as well before he would go on to join Gladiators Legion. And on the other side, you have his tank partner, Sharik, who's been a pretty prominent figure in Europeans' Overwatch scene. He's been on the Russia World Cup team in the past. He was on some pretty notable teams like E-United, which was, of course, spawned from Reunited, one of the probably more recognized EU teams in Overwatch history outside of Rogue, honestly. They'd probably be second. And of course he was with Windstrike team, which was formed from CAS Hope, which we talked about a little bit earlier today. Now, that duo would later join Second Wind before getting signed to Montreal Rebellion, and that was the team that finished in third place in their Contenders division. And you know what's really interesting about this, Ed, is this is kind of flipping the script when it comes to Overwatch, because you have Toronto Defiant, who is an all-Korean team, sign in Eastern players. Usually it's the other way around. You're always hearing about these Eastern teams or mixed rosters just going out and picking up more Korean talent, and now you have Korean talent or Korean teams going out and sign in players from the US and EU. I love to see that because it's not something you would expect, but at the same time I am cautiously optimistic because you have to think about, well, there's going to be a language barrier.
Is there? Okay, so hear me out on this. Probably the weakest part of the Toronto has probably been their tank line. Like, I think with Ivy and I'm 37, like, you have a solid support line. And with, why am I drawing a blank on their
you meant DPS there.
Well, yeah, on DPS, but I'm talking Neko and Roki. I think you're pretty much set there with Aid as your backup support. So when you look at it, when everyone thinks I'm 37, he's Korean. Well, sort of. He's, as we learned in his first interview,
he's Canadian Korean.
He's Canadian Korean. He went to school in Canada. Ridiculously fluent in English. Okay? Neko played with Boston Uprising last year. He is I wouldn't say fluent, but he knows how to communicate in English as well. You know, so you have the language barrier, but not as much as a lot of teams, because you have somebody like I'm 37 who can be an amazing translator because he speaks as good as English as Bishu does for the Gladiators, really. Like, it's just one of those things where he can be the translator and be in charge of everything. But Neko already also knows a lot of that. Like, I don't know about Roki, and I don't know about Ivy. Those are the only two question marks. So really, when you think of it, if Gods, and I know it's not his name, but every time I see it, I just think Sharky. So I'm just going to call him Sharky. So when Gods and Sharky come in as tanks, they can already, coordinate with IM. They can coordinate with, Neko. Korean speaking is actually, oddly enough, is the odd language out in this starting six. Which is weird to think because it'd be still 4 Korean starters, but Neko knows how to communicate in English. We saw that last year with Boston, and obviously IM37 does because he started answering questions in English, and in perfect English. So I don't think it's that big of drastic change as someone like New York or, now the Florida Mayhem doing something like that. And I think this is a really good signing. Gods being in the Overwatch League, he's another one kind of like Mangachu, who's like been around the scene forever, and we're just wondering when they're going to get called up. And then finally, Gods get calls up, and they bring up his tank duo and Sharky, and hopefully they can make a difference. I do see them being the starting tanks. You don't bring up a tank duo not to play a tank duo. That's my opinion. And it's not like Toronto was that good.
Well, I will say, like, Yakpun has been pretty questionable on the main tank role. I felt a lot better about their off-tank position when it hasn't been I'm 37.
Yeah, well, like, they have, Envy as the...
Envy's been good.
And what team did he play on last year that was a mixed team?
Valiant.
There you go. Another player from a mixed team that has learned to communicate and not pure Korean. So even he could hop in there or help with the translation or do stuff like that with some of the other players. So this is definitely going to be an interesting team. Like, people automatically think that they're going to be a language barrier, and I don't think there's going to be one.
So, over under, Ed, how many games do you foresee this duo starting? This stage?
4.
4?
4 is probably where I'm putting them at. Maybe more. Because you really don't. Like, if they were Gods, then you're like, okay, they brought up a backup. But when you bring up your contenders tank duo, you don't bring them up to just not play the tank duo together. You just don't. I think the writing on the wall is that they will be the starters. So, and they have time to play together. Like, play with the rest of the team. They're not getting thrown in the middle of the stage. So, yeah, 4 would be my guess, maybe more. I don't think less than 4.
I'm going to say 2. We'll revisit this.
We will revisit this when I'm correct. And you're wrong.
Well, we'll see about that. This might be another skin bet coming on. But anyways, moving on, just as a reminder, guys. This was something I was talking about earlier, or alluding to. We have a distraction this weekend in the form of the Pacific Showdown. Now, this is one of the 2 major LAN tournaments for the Path to Pro, which pits the best teams from each region out there against one another. I cannot wait for this one. So this one is being held in Shanghai, China. And you have top teams competing from China, Korea, the Pacific, and Australia. So this tournament is a double elimination bracket starting on Friday. So we'll have upper bracket rounds 1 and 2. Going into Saturday, we will have the lower bracket rounds 1 and 2, and then proceed to the upper bracket round 3. And then Sunday, we'll wrap up with the lower bracket finals, and then moving into the grand finals. So if you want to watch this live, good luck. Matches begin each day at 1 p.m. Chinese Standard Time, which I converted that to Pacific Time. That is 10 p.m. Pacific Time. That's midnight for us. We are not watching this live. I'll catch the VODs for sure, like I do for most of China or Pacific or Korea contenders for that matter. But just as a reminder, you have these teams competing in this tournament. You have LGE Hua, who finished first in China. They'll be paired with the one winner, who was the second representative from contenders China. You'll have Element Mystic, who took first in Korea. The team that did not drop a single map throughout all of the playoffs, running the Doombra 2-2-2 composition. Can't wait to see that again. They will have O2 Blessed, who were the runner-ups to Element Mystic. And then you have Talon Esports, who finished first in the Pacific. And then you have Order, who took first in Australia. Now, looking at the schedule, we have the one winner taking on Talon Esports. And whoever wins that will go up against Element Mystic. And then for the other opening match, you have O2 Bless going up against Order, with the winner facing LGE Hua. Now, Ed, after our 2-2-2 discussion this past week, if you guys want a change of pace, or just to see what else is out there in the competitive scene, I highly recommend everyone goes and at least catches some of this tournament, because chances are you're not going to be seeing a lot of 3-3 compositions, just due to the fact that you have teams from China, Korea, and the Pacific primarily, all not really wanting to run the perceived meta. There's going to be a lot of variations, more so than what you will see in the Overwatch League. So if you want to, be kept on your toes, be sure to give a look at the Pacific Showdown.
Hey, Totem, where's Runaway?
They did not make this since they lost.
Okay, just had to throw that in there.
I know, you had to dig there.
Well, the one thing I like about this is kind of what it builds up to be is, so you have Element Mystic, you have the two Korean teams in the upper and the lower brackets. So, O2 Blast would have to lose to either Order or LGE Hua to be able to face an all-Korean group. And I like that it would have to be like that, because more than likely what will happen is O2 Blast will beat Order, probably beat LGE, and they'll face Element Mystic in the upper final, and then it's not an all-Korean grand final. You're looking at probably Element Mystic versus the winner of LGE, probably LGE or maybe Order from Australia, but it just is. The less all Korean finals we get, the more diverse it feels. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I don't want to see if you're just going with two Korean teams, two Chinese teams, a Pacific and an Australian team. I don't want to automatically see two Korean teams in the finals. And they kind of set it up where that's not the case. Because if O2 Blast was playing Element Mystic in the semifinals, they probably would end up playing them in the grand finals. So I'm glad they did this, but obviously we will not be watching it live.
No. I will likely fill out a bracket for this, so if you want to do that as well, we can kind of compare. Because I'm sure you and I are probably going to talk about the finals of this, at least, on our next episode. Just because, this is the first major, region v. region LAN tournament in Contenders history, which is so cool. And we'll see who comes out on top.
And this is going to be the nice one over the one, which is going to be NA versus EU type of thing, because so many of the NA teams have been depleted. When you think about it, people getting picked up.
Yeah, I wonder what's Envy going to do
exactly
without Trill. That's a question mark that we'll have to wait and see.
These players get picked up, they're not going to be. What if somebody picks up people from Fusion Uni? It skews the whole thing. Whereas, and I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but most of the top Korean teams, they're not even eligible to play in the Overwatch League at this point because they're underage. So you're gonna get the full teams in there. Where NA versus EU, you probably won't get the full teams.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a true Contenders setup. So it'll be interesting to see.
So moving into our main discussion for tonight, it's all about the 3-year anniversary of Overwatch. So of course, we got the anniversary event, which hit live servers alongside the much anticipated workshop feature that was on Tuesday. And the anniversary event will run until June 10th. So just like the other anniversary events, basically all previous seasonal skins, emotes, introduction emotes, all of that stuff, sprays, voice lines, all of the works are going to be able to be unlocked during this event. So basically anything that was released in the past year is going to be at full price. Anything before that should be marked down, which is important to note. So outside of that, we will have different event brawls popping up in the arcade. and that is going to be on a set rotation, just to keep everyone up to speed. You know, yesterday we had Lucia Ball. Today there is Junkenstein's Revenge. Tomorrow, which is Thursday, we have May's Snowball Offensive, one I'm definitely going to skip. Followed by, throughout the remainder of the week, we have Yeti Hunt, Uprising, Retribution, and Storm Rising rounding out the week, which I think they counted Memorial Day as like the end of the week, because the holiday. So, a lot of cool stuff here. I know you and I were on yesterday playing a little bit, seeing what was available. Of course, most of the arcade modes were like the FFA deathmatch ones yesterday, so it's like, oh, well, I guess we're not doing that, so then we just had a queue for Mystery Heroes until Junkenstein's Revenge popped up, and, you know, we did that, which kind of felt like a drag. It took a while, but a lot of that was just due to the fact that our DPS pairings were pretty questionable. You're muted. I got him.
Got me. All right, I was the God Torch, but yeah, we had a Widowmaker and a Genji with us. I was just like, and you were on Zenya.
Yeah.
So two of the four ults were literally the most useless ults you could ever get in that mode. Period.
Well, you know what, Ed? It didn't stop me from getting the second most Omnic kills.
There you go. Second to who?
Yeah,
This
but
guy.
see, Torb always gets gold medals on that mode.
He's an offshoot of me.
If you don't get gold medals, I would kick you off the podcast if you were running Torbjorn and you end up with a silver.
You know what? I'm going to next time. I'm just not even going to put a turret up.
Okay.
No, that's
Then I'll definitely surpass you in kills. Like,
oh yeah, you will.
Because you were only like 8 or 9 ahead of me.
Yeah. So, but it's fun. It's nice to see all these come back. See all the crap ones that they have and the good ones. Like I'm sorry, like Lucio Ball and Maze are like two of the. It's like pulling teeth to play those, and just hard pass. So yeah, we kind of stuck at Mystery Heroes, which fine and dandy. Still enjoy it.
You know, they should have just put the Force Lock 222 Mystery Heroes there. We probably would have done better. I'm just saying.
I would have agreed with that. But we did decent last night in Mystery Heroes. Nothing too crazy. But man, these skins. I'm in love with like 90% of the skins they released.
So, looking at the cosmetics this year, which is going to be the next thing we're talking about, we have 11 new skins for this event. That includes 8 legendary skins, 3 epic skins, and I want to point out, this is the first event that we've had that wasn't fully leaked ahead of time. And it definitely helped build the anticipation for the event to drop, to see what all was going to be included. So, basically, leading into the event, we got a look at one of the D.Va skins. We saw the Mei skin, which was leaked. I'm trying to think what else was included in that. Winston?
Yeah, we got the Winston, the D.Va, I'm gonna not break the internet skin. We got Thick May, Winston.
And maybe the Roadhog one was leaked, I don't know.
Nope,
But regardless,
Roadhog was not.
that's still like a small sample size as opposed to what we are normally used to seeing. So outside of the skins, we also have 3 new dance emotes. You have one for Baptiste, Ash, and Wrecking Ball. Baptiste has the Compa dance, Ash line dances, and of course Wrecking Ball does a hamster dance. So let's talk about the skins, Ed. So of course our dev and savior, Papa Jeffy Kep, praise him. He basically went out and said that the D.Va skin for this event was going to break the internet. And when you use that phrasing, you are only going to disappoint everyone.
Right?
I will say this. I do like that skin. You know, it is a D.Va schoolgirl skin. You know, it's going to be a lot better for a certain community out there. As is another one, which I'm going to get into later, because it's the Brigida one, for a different reason, but also includes D.Va. But I really like that her mech on this skin is styled off of the video game that she is top ranked in in the lore. So it's based on the Mecha Guardian V, which is basically, like a Gundam game. So I thought that was a really cool tie-in. It also has like her name on the on like the keychain that's on her bunny blaster, which is pretty nice. And I do like how the pink is a different colored pink than what we're primarily used to seeing in the game, but break the internet, it did not. I saw a lot of other people freaking out about two other skins in particular, more so than this one, but I want to get your thoughts on just the variety of the skins that we did get, because the anniversary event is kind of like the event where if they don't know quite where something fits, they usually throw it in with this event in particular.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a mishmash of skins throughout this whole thing. Like, you saw like the Roadhog one, which could, I guess, technically be like a Halloween skin, maybe, or I don't even know what else. The Winston one could probably be a Halloween one as well. This is the first time I think we've seen one character get two different skins. Yeah. Oh, it's the second time?
No, two characters got two skins. Diva and Farah both got two skins in this event.
So they just basically had all these like leftover skins that they just needed to use. It almost looks like. The Diva one that broke the internet. My favorite thing about that skin is that her mech is wearing heels. I found that quite hilarious. Like, fine. We're going to talk about Brig in a bit, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
The Winston one was super cool because it kind of just reminds me of Hellboy. With like kind of the sawed off horns and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
I will say, like, out of all of them, I did like the Winston Gargoyle skin the most. And what I love about it is his gun is basically part of a church building that was like ripped off. It's like so cool.
That is like, yeah, because it's technically called Gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how? Oh God, thick May, man, those thighs. What would you say? What did you say? What Futurama reference was it?
Death by Snoo Snoo.
Death by Snoo Snoo May.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome one, and I guess her gun shoots out like tea.
It's like honeydew tea or something.
Honeydew tea.
Well, it's called honeydew, so who knows?
Okay. The Pharaoh one, that's the only one I don't really like.
Which one? The orbital one?
The orbital one.
Okay.
I'm just like,
Like, it kind of matches Horizon Lunar Colonies look, but, like, I wasn't too impressed with either of the Pharaoh ones that we got.
But talking about the best one in the whole set is the Roadhog one. Like, the attention to detail they have. So, like, what it is, it's kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like him in a spacesuit that's filled with toxic sludge. And, like, his face is a skull because it's being eaten away by the corrosion. And just everything about this whole outfit is just amazing. Just to die for. Like, this is the one, if I don't get it, I'm going to buy it no matter what. It's one of the best skins I've ever seen in this game. And I don't think anybody can, talk me out of this. The shutoff valve is his belly button. So it's just great. Like, outside of the Farah orbital one, there was not one legendary skin that I wasn't like, holy crap, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's rare for me, because usually a lot of times, like, it's cool if I have it. I won't actually equip it. But I'm going to let you bring up the Brig one.
Well,
the Brig one is
the most memeable one.
The most memeable one.
Okay, so
I'm going to let you talk about
basically, Brigitte is rocking some right police gear. It's there to help remind everyone that there's so many people still stuck in Brig jail right now in the Overwatch League. Now, sidetrack it really quick. This is a perfect opportunity for the R34 community, because, there's another skin in the game that would fit perfectly with that. That, of course, being the Officer Diva skin in the game. And I guarantee you, if it's not out there already, someone is working on it right now, because same thing happened with the Schoolgirl Diva skin. It happens with all the Diva skins, let's just be real. But I couldn't help but laugh at the Brigitte one, just because it's like, man, why you gotta do the community like that when you know everyone's still gonna be upset about Brig being in the game and just being stuck on that character for so long. It's just one of those things. But I will say, like, looking at the Mei one, we can finally end the debate that's been happening since the game came out about just how padded, like, Mei's clothing is. There's a lot of questions about how thick Mei is, and how we can finally put that to rest based on the size of her thighs in this skin. But the Roadhog one, I have to say, like, honestly has been one of my favorite ones. I feel like it's more of, like, a deep sea diver type outfit. And I just love the fact that, you know, you see the toxic fluid just being maintained in his helmet, just eating away at its skin, so you only see a skull there. I thought that was a really cool touch. And of course you have, like his hook has, like, a needle on it, too, for injections, which I thought was pretty cool. But, you know, some of the other things that really stood out to me were actually some of the voice lines that we got, one of which I brought to your attention earlier today. There's actually two pretty big pop culture nods in the voice lines. The first one is from Soldier 76, which his new voice line gives a nod to The Dark Knight, specifically Two-Face, because it does the whole, the whole villain line, basically. when you live long enough to being the hero, you eventually turn to villain, whatever. But the Genji one was a more important one that I brought up to you, and it's a nod to Star Wars. And the voice line for that one is, "The sword is an elegant weapon for a more civilized age," which is basically like you see Ben Kenobi saying that to Luke Skywalker when he introduces him to the lightsaber. So, like, to me, like, that was one of the coolest voice lines we've probably seen. One of the biggest Easter eggs of just pop culture as a whole in Overwatch.
Yeah, it was actually really cool. Like, as soon as, like, you told me about it, I went, oh, yeah, Kenobi says that. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, how is this not a skin? Like, how do they not have, like, a almost like Star Wars style skin? I know they can't call it a Star Wars skin probably because Disney wants an ungodly amount of money for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they could do something similar and not get sued by Disney, that everyone would realize it. And you could definitely pull this off with Genji. And so that's the next skin I'm, like, hoping for to come out, is like a Jedi Genji, or, a Sith Genji, or, you know what I mean? Something like that. And then you have this line to go with it, and you're just like, yep, I'm golden. This is awesome. So, being a giant Star Wars nerd, very excited. I might actually buy this voice line if I don't get it.
You absolutely should. And, I just thought, like, it was interesting. Like, normally, like, we don't really look at the voice lines, and then I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Like, to have not one but two movie references is
it got me thinking, like, what other Star Wars line or Star Wars voice line could they use? And I'm like, you know what they need in this game is just to have some, I don't know which character, just go pew 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 pew. No?
That would probably be Diva, because it's a blaster.
Yes. Like a voice line you can only use when she's demech.
Mm-hmm.
I think that needs to happen.
Let's see it. So, of course, with this being the anniversary event, it gives us an opportunity to kind of, like, take a look back and unlock stuff from prior events. So, kind of taking a look at some of the prior cosmetics that have been released since the game came out, essentially, for the events. Are there anything in particular that you were either hoping to get via the anniversary loot boxes, or looking to buy at either a discounted rate, or even if it's something that you missed in one of this year's events as well?
This is always when I kind of go and get I've talked about this numerous times on the show. I am a bit of a Christmas fanatic.
He's a nut.
I see what you did there. Um, but so I try and go back and get any of the Overwatch Christmas skins I missed. Luckily, I don't have many that I have missed. So now, skins wise, I generally will buy the skins I want. There are a few that like I want that I don't have right now, but I wouldn't equip. Like for instance, the beach. I don't have the beach Junkrat one,
Mm-hmm.
but I have Krampus, and I'm not ever taking off Krampus Junkrat. Like plain and simple, just not coming off. So I don't have a need to buy that. This is more for I buy like highlight intros, emotes, stuff like that. So like I don't have the Diva photo bomb or a selfie one. I don't have the Hammond one. So I'll probably end up buying those. I don't have all the dance emotes, which I want. I don't have a lot of the Junkenstein's Revenge ones either. Like Anna handing out the candy or stuff like that. So I tend to worry more about the emotes and highlight intros and stuff like that over the skins because I have my favorite skins already for each character. So I don't know. What are some of the ones that you really like?
So taking a look back, I was just like going through the hero gallery and just filtering by what I don't own. There were 9 skins that I was looking at in particular. And it's more of a mix of like archive, summer games, and Halloween terror. The odd man out being one that you mentioned already, that the Beach Rat Junkrat skin is one I missed from Winter Wonderland that I really wanted. But like you, like I have Krampus, and as someone that really likes scary movies, I'm primarily going to be running Krampus. Now, in regards to the archives, I am looking at the Scion Hanzo one, the one where he's like suited up, which is really nice. I'm missing the Blackwash McCree. Granted, Americree is probably still going to be my priority throughout all of that. And I'm missing a Talon Sombra one, which is one that I really liked that I forgot to pick that one up. So I thought like the weapon skin on that one in particular was one of the better weapon skins that we have seen in any event. And plus, I'm a really big fan of the short hair on Sombra, so I'm definitely going to pick that one up. Summer games, there's 2 skins that I was looking at. I'm missing the Wave Racer Diva one, as well as the Grid Ironheart Reinhardt skin, where he's a football player. So that's probably going to be like my second big purchase outside of the Somber one. And as for like the Halloween event ones that I'm looking at, I did not get the Slasher 76 one, so that's probably going to be another top priority. I was also looking at the 80s themed Zarya skin, and I also don't have the Doomfish skin for Doomfist, the swamp monster.
Yeah. See, I have I think is it Tuxedo Doomfist?
Yeah,
there's the tuxedo one that I generally, and I don't play Doomfist a lot, so like it's another one of those. All right, it'd be cool to have. But yeah, Doomfist has some good ones out there.
He does. So
I might have to buy that fish one.
Yeah, Doomfish. You have to call him that whenever you play.
Fine. I might have to buy Doomfish.
Perfect. So, normally, like, looking back, there were multiple events where, like, I just straight out bought loot boxes. I did not hesitate with this year's lineup, primarily just due to the overall quality of the skins for this event, because it was, like, a step above what we have seen in some prior events, just as a whole. And out of everything from this event, out of the big bundle, because I did buy the larger bundle, I'm only missing 2 things from this event. After I bought the, I think it was the Wrecking Ball dance was the other thing that I bought right away. So I am missing the Sombra skin, which is one of the epic ones. And then, of course, I'm missing the Diva Schoolgirl skin, so those are the two I'm missing, so I'm going to try to finish up that. I don't know if I will go out and spend currency on either one of those, but that's going to be more of a last-minute decision, if anything, depending on what other currency I have stockpiled towards the end of the event after I look at whatever ones I wanted that are on discount for this year. So, out of those 40 or whatever, loot boxes, I knocked out like 90% plus of what's available, so I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I still actually haven't gotten anything from the new set. Like, any of the stuff that was released this year, I have not gotten yet. I've gotten all the old anniversary stuff and, like, other event skins and sprays and stuff like that. So, yeah, I have not gotten anything new, which is weird. Because, I've only gotten, like, 6 loot boxes. But still, that seems like I should at least have at least one new thing. But nope. Blizzard hates me.
Just play more, forehead.
Yeah. Sure.
So anyways, of course, with it being the anniversary, I feel like now's a good time to kind of reflect back on 3 years of Overwatch, and, a couple years of HND as well. So, we've seen, like, a progression cycle in regards to kind of, like, the state of the game and direction that they want to take things. Because, initially we had no limits whatsoever. You could play whoever, you could hero stack, so there was a lot of 2-2-2, but all of them were the same hero. You would have, 2 Winston, 2 Lucio, 2 McCree, and that was the meta way back in the day. Of course, we went on to the introduction of 1 hero limit, which definitely spiced things up quite a bit. So, we saw how that played out. We saw, like, the introduction of different metas, so we got to see, like, bunker comps. We saw dive. Of course, we eventually got to the 3-3 meta. For better or worse, we've seen, like, pulled pork, double sniper compositions, pirate ship, you name it, we've probably seen it at this point outside of a 6 support meta. Probably being one we'll never see, just due to how the game works. But, now, like, we're entering, we're getting closer to the summer, we're getting closer to whatever this big feature that Kaplan has been mentioning. I feel like a lot of us are feeling like it is going to be the introduction of a role queue to Overwatch. So with that, you would basically be able to queue as a tank, a support, or a DPS. You would have separate skill ratings for each of the classifications, which I think is really good because, as someone that does like to play certain roles, if those roles are already taken up and I'm having to flex off of something that I don't normally play, I hate being at the same skill rating when I know I'm not that skilled at that particular role that I would be playing in that situation. So I hope we get to see that, whether that's going to include any sort of MMR reset. Who knows, but I know a lot of people will gripe if it happens or if that doesn't happen, but a role queue is definitely needed in the game, and I hope that's the direction that they are going to go, and eventually, that will probably bring in 2-2-2. If not, then probably that would be the next step in the progression. But, as a whole, like, I like to say, like, when we're playing competitive, the overall state of the game at our level feels really damn good. We're not really seeing 3-3 where we're at. Like, even in Grandmaster, there's a lot of, like, Orisa Roadhog composition, so it's not all 3-3 even at the top level anymore, and that's not reflected in the Overwatch League yet. So we'll see whether or not teams are going to adapt to things that are closer to what we see on live, or if they're gonna keep playing what they've been practicing for the past 6 years. But Ed, like, what have been your reflections just as the game kind of, like, continues to cycle at this point?
I mean, it's been one of those games because when I really get hooked into a game, I get hooked into a game. Like I don't play a game for like a month or two and then just leave it by the wayside. Like when I get into a game, I'm in it for the duration. Now a lot of that is Blizzard games, Hearthstone, Warcraft, Overwatch. Not Destiny 2 is not a Blizzard game, but it's on the Blizzard launcher. Stuff like that. It's you start to realize with Overwatch how much the game has changed, but you don't realize it. Like this game has changed as much as most other games and introduced as much game changing abilities and game changing factors as even like a Warcraft. Like when you think of it, Warcraft completely changes its system every 2 years, 2.5 years, when a new expansion comes out. Well, Overwatch has completely changed stuff quicker than that. As odd as that sounds, like so when you play a game for that long, you start to and you reflect back. Like I can still reflect back and think of No Limits. I can still feel, you know, all the aspects of certain, like the Mercy hiding for the reses, like stuff like that.
Not to mention the moth meta, you can't forget that.
Yes, the moth meta. Like it's just one of those things where the gameplay has changed so dramatically. And like when we talk about the meta, like 333 or 3-3, yes, it's been around for a while, but it hasn't been the longest meta in the game. Dive was the longest meta in the game, has been the longest tenured meta. And that's kind of like what we all wanted to go back to. Really, essentially, is a dive meta, and dive meta is a 2-2-2. So like I go back, I see the ups and the downs of Overwatch, and everything they do is just it makes me happy. Like I could never be upset with the game. A lot of people are upset that we don't have a 2-2-2 or anything like that. And you know what? I have faith because Blizzard has, and Overwatch in general, hasn't ever truly let us down. We may not get the results as quickly as we wanted, but they eventually get there with us. And I just have faith in them as a whole. I may not seem like that because I'm a Debbie Downer at times, but I have faith that Overwatch and the Overwatch League are gonna get things right, and that's just the Blizzard way. And I do believe that the 2-2-2 role queue and all that is on the horizon. But I think they also, before they go that drastic route, I think they want to go for the traditional, let's try and balance it correctly. Because that's been the essence of all Blizzard games is before we do anything drastic, let's try and balance the game as best we possibly can to see if we can fix it. And if that doesn't work, then we go to the nuclear option of forcing 2-2-2. And I hope that this continues. Like me and you have talked about this previously, how we actually play way less Overwatch now than we used to. But we're just as much into Overwatch as we ever have been because of the Overwatch League. Like we care more about what happens in the Overwatch League than what happens in our games. Like I care more about what happens Shock vs Titans than what happened in my competitive match the night before, because that's just a competitive match, but this is like watching a sports team.
Or literally your entire competitive season.
Exactly. Like, so they made me care. They did something I actually never thought was possible in a million years. And that is I care as much about Overwatch League as I do about baseball and football.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that was physically possible, and they've done it. So God bless Overwatch and the Overwatch League for these past 3 years,
And
3+ years.
mind you, this is without home representation.
Exactly. When we get a Chicago team, God, I'm gonna be unbearable. You guys will hate me. Like, hate me more than you do
get
now.
the emails ready.
Yeah, like you guys kind of already hate me. But imagine me when there's a Chicago team. And I'm just like, they're going up. Chicago versus the Titans. Titans suck. Let me tell you why. Bumpers, trash. Haskell, piece of crap. Twilight can't even figure out where his W key is. That would be me. And I'm okay with this. But yeah, and like you said, we have an ungodly amount of Heroes Never episodes out. Me and you only have like 50, 60 between us.
Mm-hmm.
What episode is this? 161.
161.
We have 61 episodes together. But, this game also brought me closer to friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and Spider and Bob and Ramses. And, I'm get to go to BlizzCon for the first time this year. All because of Overwatch. Like, I've wanted to go to BlizzCon for 10 years now. 8 years. And I've never been able to, and never had friends I could go with until this year. And then I'm like, okay, this is going to be a great experience. So Overwatch did that for me. Like, Overwatch has done some amazing things, and I'm thankful for having them around. Now, get me a GD Chicago Overwatch League team.
Please. I mean, I know we're a big proponent of it. I know Labasco, who lives like 20 minutes from me, apparently, which I just found out.
I'm only
not
like
too long
an
ago.
hour and a half.
Yeah.
Too, so
We need our Midwest representation, and then
I'm
we will.
pretty sure if we get a Chicago team, me, you, and Labasco will have a Chicago Overwatch League podcast.
Probably, I would say 110% that would happen. Because God forbid, right now, I do not have enough on my plate between podcast and Overwatch League, because I podcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Overwatch League is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We would find time. It would happen.
It will happen eventually. So 100 Thieves,
Make it happen.
make your move
Yes.
on Optic. Just release everyone. Keep Linkser, or just keep Steffi. I don't care if you keep Linkser.
Keep
that sounds
Linkser and Muma. I like them. Muma's a good main tank. I'm fine with everyone else off the team.
Make it happen. But anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up for the night. So if you
Like our
guys,
shortest episode in
just
I don't know,
about.
61 episodes.
Well, I'll look back at that and I'll get back to you. But anyways, if you guys want to help us out, one of the best things to do is to go leave us a review over on iTunes or your podcasting app of choice. I'm always looking for constructive criticism or, insight on how we can make for a better show for you guys. We do have a new review, by the way, which is coming from iTunes. This is from Joy MCB, who left us a 5-star review. Kept it short, kept it simple. And Joy MCB says, "It's great. Keep it up, guys." So absolutely, we will continue to keep it up.
Thank you for that. I was fully expecting something like, "Keep it up, except Ed. Stop trashing the Outlaws."
Quick side note about the Outlaws, because I thought that this was funny. So, I'm pretty sure this was on our Discord. Someone made the comment. One of our community members was talking about, like, wow, you guys didn't really spend too much time bashing the Outlaws on the panel. And then I was like, you know what? We probably could have had, like, an entire panel just revolving around bashing the Outlaws.
Yep. And then by some sixth sense, I'm like, I should check Discord right now. Like I had been summoned to come bash the Outlaws. What
Absolutely. So thank you again.
Outlaws in Canada.
Yeah, because you can't do one without the other. But thank you again, Joy MCB, for leaving us a review. If you guys would like to find additional content for you to consume, not that you need anything else outside of Heroes Never Die, but if you want to find more, there's a great way to do that. You know, you can just go check out Overwatch Recall on our website, on Twitter at OW Recall, and then every Sunday night we release the episodic listens from the week prior, which is basically anywhere from like 19 on a very, 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 very slow week, all the way up to like 34 on a busy week. Usually never that high, but, you know, I'll say at median, like, 26 episodes every week for Overwatch podcasts. And, you know, what was funny, like, Ro tweeted, like, man, it's really hard keeping up with Overwatch podcasts, because so many of them, like, start up, like, record an episode, and then vanish, and I just tweet at him, you're telling me. So that's the thing, shout out to Ro. So, outside of reviews, another great way to support us, well, you could throw us your Twitch Prime subs. We always appreciate that. You know, gotta cheap plug that. That's free, doesn't cost you anything. You could also support us via Patreon, which starts at just $1 a month. So you too can join the likes of our master patrons and above, Blaze and Bob, Brendan, and Gabby, in helping our network grow. So thank you everyone for your continued support, and it just supports all of our podcasts on our network as a whole, so we greatly appreciate that. Now, Ed, I'm gonna have you, like, shill the social media stuff, and then I'll have a reminder at the end, because we do have another event coming up this weekend. So why don't you let our listeners know how they can get a hold of our podcast and ourselves as well.
All right. Well, you can reach us through email, hndoverwatch@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, and that is at hndoverwatch. We do have a website, that's owlnshow.com, where we post all our YouTube videos and podcasts. We do have a YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We are on Discord, so come join us over there at discord.me/OWLNshow. We are streaming presently live on Twitch, even though you can't see it because this is in podcast form. And that is at twitch.tv/OWLNshow. We are a Twitch affiliate, so come help support the show by subscribing to our channel and earn our network emoticon. Our podcast does stream pretty regularly. So on Mondays, we have the Overwatch League Network, which airs at 7 p.m. Pacific. OWL by the Numbers, our fantasy podcast, airs Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. This show, Heroes Never Die, airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then host streams, when available, fall on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific with Totem the Drunk and Spider. Oh, and Spider is planning on streaming on our channel on Thursday nights generally.
Yep, educational streaming.
Educational streaming. So he's not allowing me on there.
Not after the last debacle.
Well, the last debacle was me at 5,000 DPI.
I mean, how worse can it get at this point?
Exactly. And also, like Totem had said, you can come help support us on Patreon at patreon.com/OW Network. So you can come help our page even further. Tier start at just $1 a month. So come over there, join us, be all that happy, fun, go lucky stuff. And then you can reach me personally, Edinar, on Twitter at Edinar Overwatch. That's EDANAR Overwatch. Totem, take it away.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, basically trolling podcasters or yelling at the cesspool that is known as Reddit, at Totally Drunk CTR. But as for events this week, guys, just as a reminder, we do have mid-season Overwatch League panels, the first of which was recorded this past Saturday, which is available on both the Overwatch League Network RSS feed, as well as the Heroes Never Die RSS feed. So, you know, whichever feed you primarily visit, go download from that one. Download it from both. I mean, both work. Both give us extra numbers, so we're happy either way, but we definitely hope you guys check those out, because it's a lot of work when it's that. So I do want to thank everyone that helped out on Saturday night for the first panel that I moderated. So I want to thank everyone that showed up for that, just not just our listeners that were there for the live stream, which was really poppin', but everyone that's been downloaded. And of course, I want to thank all of the panelists that we had. So thank you again to Howler from Casual OWL Fans, Ryan from the Bird Watchers, Adam from the Broverwatch, Deathflow from High Noon, Rob from Omnic Lab, Kel from Overtakes, Meldarina from OWL Recap, and Ramses, our boy Julian Goulian, from Push the Point. And
I think you're missing.
I mean, I'm sure that his main podcast, his main passion project, I should say, that is on Mash Those Buttons. But, he's also on OWL by the numbers. So.
No. I think you're missing that list of thank yous.
No, I'm not missing you.
You didn't thank me for being on.
I mean, you were present.
I was present and I was interrupting people left and right. I was spitting out random facts that everyone is just smarter for having me be there.
Yeah, okay. But anyways, Sunday night, this Sunday, couple of days from now, we have our second panel, which is going to be moderated by the Blevins from High Noon. And we'll have a lot of similar podcasts on this one. So we'll have Calder from the Broper Watch. Panda is going to be there from Mayhem Maniacs. Andres is probably going to pop in late because he does work kind of late on Sundays, but he's from Omnic Lab. You have Hannah and LP from the Omnic Weekly. We have Misfit from Overtakes, Spider from Overwatch League Network, Blazeabob from I'll Recap, and OWL by the numbers. And of course, Labasco, my Chicago brethren from Push the Point. So we hope everyone comes out for our stream that night. Of course, Spider will be streaming that one. I'll be hanging out in the Twitch chat, trolling all 10 of them. It's going to be a good time, or all 9 of them, depending on what time it is, and depending on, when Andres is showing up. But either way, it's going to be a good time, and this is something that we are going to do after the end of each stage. And of course, we expanded quite a bit since our Stage 1 panels. And we'll probably send out some sort of feedback to see how everyone is feeling, just not just the panelists but our listeners as well, and we'll continue to grow the experience from there. But there's still room for improvement, so let us know what you guys think of the panels, and please get back to me on that. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and sign off for the night. So again, you have been listening to Heroes Never Die. This has been episode number 161. I have been your host, Totally Drunk, joined, as always, by my co-host, Edinar, and we hope to see you back, not just for tomorrow night's educational stream with Spider, but again on Sunday for the second mid-season Overwatch League panel, and we hope you get all of the loot in this anniversary event, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. Take care, and have a good night.
Have a good one.